Look at the device you are watching this on right now. The massive, complex supply chain that built it, it is being completely redrawn as we speak. Today, we're diving into a fascinating geoeconomic shift happening right now in the Philippines. We're going to unpack the huge promises and the immense risks of a brand new global initiative called Pax Silica. If you follow global supply chains, you know the map is changing fast, and we are going to explore how the Philippines is placing what might just be the biggest macroeconomic gamble of the 21st century. Here's how we're going to break this all down. First, the global tech war. Second, enter the golden node. Third, the economic blueprint. Fourth, the infrastructure bottleneck. Fifth, pushback and domestic risks. And finally, we'll zoom out to the geopolitical gamble. All right, part one, the global tech war and the massive paradigm shift we're living through. For decades, the entire global economy ran on one thing: cost efficiency. Well, that era is officially over. Welcome to the era of supply chain security, driven by a strategic posture known as denial logistics. In December 2025, the United States spearheaded the Pax Silica initiative. The main goal here? Countering Chinese dominance. Remember, China currently controls over 80% of global rare earth processing, plus a massive share of legacy chip packaging. Pax Silica is designed to distribute the foundational tech stack for AI and critical minerals across a network of trusted nations, literally denying adversaries access to these frontier technologies. And this isn't just the US acting alone, it's a massive multilateral partnership. You've got initial signatories like Australia, Japan, and the UK, joined by subsequent signatories like the Philippines and India. This whole alliance is acting as a direct institutional counterweight to China's own AI governance framework, which is known as the Waco Initiative. So, it's not simply about reshoring jobs, it's a calculated strategic alliance meant to unleash the AI age safely across partner economies. Moving right along to part two, enter the golden node. So you might be wondering, where is the very first physical manifestation of this massive global alliance actually being built? The Philippines formally joined Pax Silica in April 2026, and almost immediately they designated a 4,000-acre tract of land in New Clark City, Tarlac, as the initiative's inaugural golden node. Located right inside the Luzon Economic Corridor, you have to understand this is not your traditional export processing zone. It's an AI-native industrial acceleration hub designed to physically integrate semiconductor design, critical mineral processing, and hyperscale computing, all locked inside one high-security ecosystem. Which brings us to part three, the economic blueprint, or how the Philippines plans to move up the food chain. Let's look at the actual economic strategy here. Right now, the Philippines is sitting on an estimated $1 trillion in untapped mineral reserves. Trillion, with a T. But currently, they mostly just export raw nickel ore to China. In the electronics sector, they're stuck doing lower-value assembly and testing. The Pax Silica vision wants to completely flip that script. The goal is to capture the massive value added by processing those critical minerals domestically and actually transitioning Filipino workers into advanced 3D packaging and integrated circuit design. The economic projections for this transition are staggering. The Basis Conversion and Development Authority, the BCDA, projects this hub could attract up to $70 billion at full development. If they pull this off, it's forecast to generate up to 190,000 direct, high-quality jobs. It would essentially turn Filipino graduates from passive participants into active builders of global AI technologies. But how do you convince foreign investors to drop $70 billion? You roll out the red carpet. In late 2024, the Philippine government passed the highly aggressive Create More Act. This law is the fiscal engine of the Golden Node. Crucially, it neutralizes the country's notoriously high electricity costs by offering a 100% tax deduction for power expenses. Throw in full deductions for R&D, and lock in these maximum tax incentives for up to 27 years, and you give foreign investors the generational stability they crave. Okay, part four, the infrastructure bottleneck. Because tax breaks don't literally keep the lights on. Here is the most daunting engineering hurdle of the entire project: utilities. At full scale, this industrial hub requires 3 gigawatts of continuous, highly reliable power. If you know the local infrastructure, you know that pulling 3 gigawatts would instantly collapse the already fragile Luzon grid, which already suffers from frequent red and yellow alerts. To solve this, the BCDA is pursuing what's called an islanded embedded generation strategy. They are building dedicated, localized power, including a 500-megawatt solar farm and a potential dedicated liquefied natural gas plant, just to guarantee 99.999% uptime. And water is just as critical. AI computing runs extremely hot, and standard cooling math demands a highly inefficient 1.5 to 3 liters of water for every single kilowatt hour. A standard data center could literally drain millions of gallons a day. To strictly avoid depleting local groundwater, the BCDA is engineering a massive 120 million liter per day surface water harvesting system. They plan to capture and recycle monsoon rains for all this intense industrial use, completely bypassing the local aquifers. That brings us to part 5. Pushback and domestic risks. Now, we absolutely have to report on this impartially because a megaproject of this scale is naturally generating some serious controversy. Groups like the IBON Foundation have laid out a strong critique based on recent severe labor unrest, like the massive strikes at the Nexperia semiconductor plant over alleged union busting. They're warning that highly automated, AI-native manufacturing might actually eliminate jobs rather than create them. On top of that, environmental groups are raising historical fears of IATA land displacement. The state, for its part, firmly insists this 4,000-acre site is strictly public land already titled to the BCDA, and they explicitly guarantee no mining will happen on site. To prevent this project from just becoming an extractive enclave where foreign companies take the profits and leave, civil society watchdogs have issued 5 strict governance demands. They want total transparency, demanding that corporations actually deliver on technology transfer and local hiring before they get 27 years of tax breaks. They're also demanding ironclad written guarantees that the zone operates strictly under Philippine law, meaning absolutely no foreign extraterritorial immunity. Finally, let's zoom back out for part 6, the geopolitical gamble. When you look at the macro level, the strategic risks here are profound. By aligning so overtly with the U.S.-led initiative explicitly designed to counter China, analysts like Dr. Dan Steinbach warn that the Philippines is exponentially increasing its exposure to geopolitical retaliation. Hosting the Golden Node structurally integrates the Philippine economy right into the U.S. techno-security supply chain. This means Beijing could easily leverage economic coercion, anything from restricting agricultural imports to disrupting legacy supply chains. It essentially treats the Philippines not just as a trading partner, but as a dual-use frontline state. So, what does this all mean? The Pax Silica initiative is an incredibly ambitious attempt to turn global geopolitical tension into a catalyst for generational wealth. If it's managed with rigorous oversight, it could absolutely transform the archipelago into a sovereign pillar of the new AI economy. But it leaves us with one of the most critical macroeconomic questions of our time. Will the Golden Node definitively break the Philippines out of the middle income trap, or is it simply going to turn the nation into a vulnerable proxy state in a great power tech war? What do you think?